in this very moment, while you hesitate, while you weigh the pros and cons, while you wait for some divine sign. Someone weaker than you, less intelligent, with half your talent, is winning. They're closing the deal, getting the promotion, capturing the attention of the very person you desire. Why? Here's the brutal truth. The world doesn't bow to justice or merit. It kneels only before conviction. Confidence, real, fake, or even delusional, is the currency of power, and those who walk as if the universe owes them are believed, are followed. Meanwhile, you, with your brilliance, your depth, your thousand-layered mind, get trapped in the labyrinth of what if. You overanalyze. You wait for the perfect moment, the perfect words, the perfect feeling. But listen carefully. The perfect moment does not exist. It's a ghost, a prison your fear invented to keep you safe in paralysis. And while you wait, someone with half your potential claims what could have been yours. This isn't motivation. Motivation is cheap sugar. This is discipline dissected, a mental checkmate. Stay until the end, because I will hand you 5 master keys, weapons of psychological war, to destroy the servant within and awaken the sovereign you were meant to be. The first key: move as if you already own the room. Powerful people don't rush. They don't stumble in with noise or nervous laughter. They arrive with presence. Their authority is not in their words, but in their silence, not in volume, but in their stillness, their gaze. They don't beg to be noticed. The atmosphere shifts the second they step through the door. That is what it means to own the room. It is not granted, it is assumed. An assumption becomes prophecy. How do you begin? With your body, your first weapon. Walk slower. Haste is the posture of servants. Rushing signals that you live by another man's clock. The one with power owns time. Occupy your space. Do not shrink. Do not cross your arms as if bracing against an invisible attack. Stand open, relaxed, unshaken. Your body tells the primal brain of everyone around you, I am safe because I fear nothing from you. Now, your voice. Speak lower. Let your sentences fall downward. A voice that rises at the end is a question, a silent plea for approval. The voice of the servant, a voice that descends, is a decree. It leaves no room for doubt. It is the voice of the sovereign. Do not chase the circle of energy in a room. Do not hurry to join it. Wait and watch the circle form around you. This is not performance for others. It is programming for yourself. It is hacking your biology. It is whispering to your nervous system, we are in control. We are safe. Remember Sartre's warning. Man is condemned to be free. That freedom is terrifying. And so we beg others for orders, for validation, for permission. Break the invisible chain. Move as if you have already won. Not with arrogance, but with inevitability. Respected? Fine. Rejected? Better. Because indifference to approval is the final form of power. If the room was not yours when you entered, it will be when you leave. The second key: speak as if you cannot be denied. Words are not just sound. They are weapons, and most people hand over their weapons before battle even begins. You can spot them instantly, the nervous laugh at their own ideas, the endless, I think, maybe, I'm not sure. Voices rising like questions, as if apologizing for existing. That is not speaking. That is self-sabotage. Machiavelli knew this in the courts of power. Sometimes it was not the king who ruled, but the quiet counselor in the corner, the man who spoke rarely, but when he did, the room bent to listen. Because silence accumulates power. The one who fills every space with noise is not dominant. He is predictable. He reveals his fears, his hunger, his need, but the silent one is the threat, because no one knows what he sees. So when you enter a room, don't scan for permission to speak. Observe, absorb. Let others rush to prove themselves, to display their insecurity. The one who speaks first often exposes what he fears. And once you know what a man fears, you can bend him. When you finally speak, speak with precision. Each phrase a conclusion, not a suggestion. Cut out the softness, the fillers, the apologies. Erase from your tongue just my opinion. Or does that make sense? Those are escape routes for the weak. Burn them, speak, then leave your words hanging in the silence. Force others to live inside the weight of your conviction. That silence after a strong statement is pure power. Challenge them without moving. Most will not dare to resist because they fear what you might say next. The third key is this: destroy the need to be understood. This is the root virus of human weakness, the silent chain that keeps most people enslaved. The desire to explain yourself, to be validated, to make sure others know your intentions are good, is exactly what makes you controllable. Burn that need. Annihilate it. You do not exist to be understood. You exist to move the world around you with precision and intent. When you cling to the need for others to see you clearly, you hand them the power to define you. When you explain too much, you reveal too much. And in the game of power, exposure is vulnerability. You must kill the habit of emotional reaction. Emotions are real, yes, but in the battlefield of influence, they are irrelevant unless weaponized. Are you angry? Do not show it. Transform it into the fuel of disciplined action. Were you insulted? Do not respond with words. Use it as leverage to identify the weakness of your opponent. Do they doubt you? Do not argue. Let silence be your weapon, and let your results speak louder than any defense. This is how the powerful are forged. They are not robotic. They are undeniable. Because once no one can move you emotionally, once your reactions are no longer predictable, you become a shadow they cannot pin down. They watch you move with precision and unease, always questioning what your next strike will be. Let others chase harmony. Let them chase understanding. You instead chase clarity and control. The world does not reward how you feel. It only responds to what you project. Certainty, direction, gravity. And when your identity becomes unshakable, you become dangerous, not because you are loud or violent, but because you are emotionally unreachable. They cannot provoke you. They cannot tempt you. They cannot shake you, because you no longer belong to anyone but yourself. That is what makes you unforgettable. That is what creates a legend. Not noise, not fame, but cold clarity, relentless consistency, and the silence that bends the will of others without ever raising your voice. The fourth key is this: turn rejection into control. This is where the weak collapse and the strategist sharpens. Rejection is not a wound. It is clarity. Most people live in a fog, not knowing who respects them, who uses them, who fears them. But rejection cuts through the mist like a blade. It shows you who is blind to your value. It shows you where your influence has not yet reached. The servant sees rejection as proof of worthlessness, but the Machiavellian mind sees it for what it is: pure information, raw data. And with data, you adjust your strategy, refine your presence, sharpen your image. You amplify your value through action until those who once ignored you cannot even say your name without feeling the weight of their mistake. The next time they return, and they always return when they smell success, you will not even need to reject them. You will already have moved beyond their reach. That is true control, silent and permanent. The weak chase revenge, but revenge is a hot emotion, a passion of the servant. Real power is cold, calculated, patient. You do not strike back. You let time and their own poor decisions destroy them, while you rise above in silence. Your reappearance should never be for petty satisfaction. It should be timed like a blade in the dark. You return only when your presence itself creates discomfort, when your success is so undeniable they cannot look away. And in that moment, you do not gloat, you do not sneer, you do not even speak. You offer nothing but a calm indifference, or better, no acknowledgement at all, because you are no longer seeking to be accepted. You are setting the standard, and by rejecting you first, they proved they were never worthy of it. The truth is this: rejection is not their decision. It is your filter. You were never denied. You simply allowed them to reveal themselves. You gave them the chance to prove their discernment. And when they failed, you learned everything you needed to know. That is why rejection must never be taken personally. It is not the end of your path. It is the compass, pointing you toward a higher one. The weak man bleeds when he is cut, but the sovereign studies the wound and turns it into a weapon. This is how rejection becomes the raw material of control, not an obstacle, but a lever, one that lifts you into a world beyond the reach of those who once underestimated you. The fifth key is this: indifference is power. Reaction is weakness. Every interaction in life is a game of chess, and your opponent, whether they know it or not, is always testing you. A passive-aggressive comment, a veiled insult, a poisoned compliment, a subtle act of disrespect. These are not random. They are probes designed to measure your defenses, to locate your weak points, to see if they can shake you. The servant within, trained to seek approval and avoid conflict, reacts immediately. He justifies, he explains, he defends, he gets angry, he gets hurt. And the moment you react, you have already lost, because you have proven that your state belongs to them, that they have the power to control your inner world. The sovereign, on the other hand, cultivates calculated indifference, not cold distance, not apathy, but an unshakable calm. He observes the move, analyzes it, extracts the information, and then chooses silence. He chooses not to give the enemy the satisfaction of dictating his emotions. This stillness is maddening to the aggressor, because their weapon has failed, their test has collapsed, and in that moment their weakness is revealed. They stand exposed, stripped of power. Understand this: calm in the face of provocation is not passivity, it is dominance. It is the storm raging against a cliff of stone, exhausting itself, while the cliff remains unmoved. Your enemy wants reaction because reaction is confession. Reaction reveals insecurity, fear, vanity. But indifference conceals all of it and radiates a different message. I am untouchable. I am beyond your reach. You cannot control me because my state belongs only to me. That is why indifference is the highest weapon. It is a mirror that reflects the emptiness of the attack and forces the other to confront their own impotence. And once people realize they cannot provoke you, they stop trying. They turn their energy elsewhere. But you, standing still, calm and unbroken, remain a fortress. And a fortress that cannot be shaken becomes legend, feared not because it strikes first, but because nothing can move it. The sixth key is this: be formless like water. Rigidity is death in the game of power. The one who clings to a single plan, a single mask, a single identity, becomes predictable, and predictability is vulnerability. True strength flows, adapts, reshapes itself to the terrain. Water has no form, yet it can assume any form. Against brute force it yields and surrounds. Through cracks it seeps and penetrates. In a void, it expands and fills. This is what it means to conquer without resistance. You must learn to embody this same fluidity in your presence, in your strategy, in your very identity. At times you must be warm, social, disarming, the presence that puts others at ease. At other times you must be cold, distant, unapproachable, a figure that radiates respect and silent authority. Be analytical and precise when the moment demands calculation, but bold and reckless when the opportunity requires audacity. Do not marry a single mask. Have a wardrobe of them. People feel safe when they can label and predict you. But when you are formless, when you refuse to be defined, you become incomprehensible. And the incomprehensible always inspires a mixture of fear and respect. Do not allow others to know exactly who you are today, because that knowledge would give them clues about who you will be tomorrow. Instead, be a shifting presence, an enigma they can never fully grasp. Flow around their expectations, bend their assumptions, break their patterns, and when the moment comes, strike with the weight of a wave, with the force of a tsunami that was invisible until it was unstoppable. That is the power of water. That is the power of the formless sovereign. Invisibility, adaptability, inevitability. No shape, no limits, only movement, until the board itself bends beneath your current. The seventh key is this: make others come to you, even if you must use bait. In the battlefield of power, the one who moves first often loses the initiative, because to advance is to reveal intention, to show need, to confess hunger. The true strategist waits. He does not chase, he attracts. By forcing others to move toward you, you keep the advantage, you control the pace, you dictate the terrain. This principle applies everywhere, in negotiation, in relationships, in conflict. The one who pursues always exposes himself. The one who attracts remains in control. How do you draw them in? With bait. Sometimes the bait is the promise of gain. Sometimes it is a whisper to their vanity. Sometimes it is a spark to their curiosity. Sometimes it is the illusion of an easy victory. Let them believe the idea was theirs. Let them think they found you. Let them feel they took the initiative. But in reality, you built the stage. You lit the fire. You placed the key exactly where they would see it. They step into your domain willingly, thinking they are in command, when in truth they are moving exactly as you designed. The master of power does not batter down doors. He leaves an irresistible key in plain sight and waits for the fool to pick it up. This is control without effort, victory without struggle. When others chase you, when they reveal their hunger, they give you all the information you need about their weaknesses, their desires, their blind spots. Meanwhile, you remain still, centered, hidden in plain sight. They walk willingly into the cage, believing it is a palace of their own making. And when the door closes, they will never know at what moment they surrendered the game. That is the art of making others come to you. It is patience sharpened into a weapon, silence transformed into a trap, and presence so magnetic it becomes impossible to resist. The eighth key is this: strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. In every group, every organization, every circle of influence, power is never spread evenly. There is always a center of gravity, a figure whose presence holds the rest together. It is not always the one in the spotlight. Sometimes it is the quiet influencer, the one everyone looks to before they move. The beginner makes the mistake of fighting the entire group, wasting energy on every soldier, every piece of resistance. The strategist does not. He identifies the source, the shepherd. He knows that if he neutralizes, discredits, or captures the loyalty of that one figure, the rest of the structure will collapse or shift in his favor. Do not waste your strength arguing with the crowd. Aim at the leader, the hidden core, the true axis of power. This is not a war of brute force, but of precision. Like a blade to the throat, it is swift and decisive. The general falls, and the army breaks. The head is cut, and the body no longer knows where to move. This is not about chaos for its own sake. It is about efficiency. One move that renders 100 moves unnecessary. one strike that dissolves the resistance without a prolonged war. This is the difference between a novice and a master. The novice drowns in endless battles. The master finds the single thread that unravels the entire web. Understand this. People are held together by hidden bonds of loyalty, fear, admiration, or need. Break the bond at its source, and the chain snaps in silence. The others will not even know why their unity dissolved. They will only feel the gravity that once held them has vanished. That is why in the game of power, you never fight the many. You fight the one who makes the many possible. And when that one is gone, the battlefield is already yours. The ninth key is this: work in darkness. Let the results speak in light. Nothing destroys lasting power faster than ostentation. The one who announces his plans, who boasts about his ambitions, who telegraphs every move, becomes a target. He invites envy, opposition, sabotage. He makes himself predictable and exposed. Real power is built in silence, behind curtains, under shadows. It grows like a weapon forged in secret fire, hidden until it is unbreakable. You work tirelessly, you plan meticulously, you build alliances quietly, while the world believes you are harmless or even mediocre. Let them underestimate you. Let them discard you. It is the most valuable advantage you can own. Then, when the time arrives, when your plan is complete and your position unshakable, you do not announce your victory. You reveal it. It bursts forth like thunder on a clear day, a shock that changes the entire landscape before anyone can react. By the time they notice, it is too late. The rise has already happened. The shift is irreversible. They will ask when you built such strength, how you gathered such momentum, and they will not realize that every step was taken under their blind gaze. This is why the wise never display the seed, they display the fruit. Never show the foundation, only the tower. Never reveal the struggle, only the triumph. Understand this. Noise invites resistance. Silence invites surprise. The more you hide, the safer your work becomes, and the greater the impact when it finally appears. Do not crave applause in the building stage. Do not hunger for recognition before the time is ripe. Recognition is cheap, but inevitability is priceless. When they finally see you, when your results crash into their reality like a storm, they will realize too late that you were building in the dark all along. And that is how power is secured forever. The 10th key is this: keep others in suspended terror and uncertainty. Predictability is the death of power. The moment people know exactly how you will act, the moment they can map your reactions like clockwork, you lose control over them. To maintain authority, you must cultivate deliberate unpredictability. Blend kindness with sudden coldness, generosity with sharp demands, long silence with bursts of eloquence. Keep those around you guessing, always on edge, never certain of where they stand with you. This tension forces them to spend their energy trying to read you, to anticipate you, to decipher you. Their mind becomes occupied with your movements while you remain free to act as you wish. Understand, this is not cruelty, it is strategy. When people grow too comfortable, they stop respecting boundaries, they stop fearing consequences, they begin to take you for granted. Comfort breeds contempt. By shifting your tone, your rhythm, your presence, you remind them that you are not to be assumed or domesticated. Today you may appear as their ally, tomorrow as their judge, and the uncertainty compels them to tread carefully. You are not chaos, you are calculated weather. One day the calm ocean, the next a storm. And just as sailors show reverence to the sea, those around you will learn to respect the mystery of your nature. This is the essence of suspended terror. Not open threats, not violence, but the invisible pressure of not knowing. When will you be merciful? When will you be ruthless? When will you speak? When will you remain silent? That uncertainty binds them to your presence, forces them into caution, into reverence. You do not need to shout or strike. You only need to remain unreadable. Power lives in mystery, and mystery lives in the gap between what they think you will do and what you actually do. Never allow them to bridge that gap. Keep it open, keep it alive, keep them guessing, and they will never move against you with confidence. The 11th key is this: appeal to self-interest, never to mercy or gratitude. This is one of the coldest and most effective truths of power. If you need something from someone, do not beg for their kindness. Do not remind them of favors you granted in the past. Do not appeal to their sense of justice or morality. These are weak and unreliable motivations. Gratitude fades, mercy is rare, justice is subjective, but self-interest is eternal. Every person is ruled by their own ambition, their own vanity, their own hunger for safety and gain. If you want influence, frame your words, your offers, your requests in such a way that they see clearly what they stand to gain. Make them believe your victory is their victory, that what serves you also serves them. Understand? Manipulation is not about forcing someone to act against their will. It is about shaping their will so that they want exactly what benefits you. When they believe they are pursuing their own interest, they walk willingly into your plan. You become the architect of their desires. This is why you must always ask, what does this person crave? Recognition, wealth, control, security, pleasure. Then design your proposal as the path to that craving. Once they see themselves reflected in your strategy, resistance disappears. They believe they are acting freely when, in reality, they are moving inside the cage you built for them. Mercy makes you dependent. Gratitude makes you weak. Self-interest makes you untouchable. When people align their goals with yours, when they see no conflict between their gain and your ambition, you no longer need to push or persuade. They will fight for you because they believe they are fighting for themselves. And in the end, that is the purest form of control, to move others without chains, without commands, without threats, simply by guiding their own hunger in the direction you already planned. The 12th key is this: use absence to increase respect and honor. What is abundant loses value. What is always available becomes invisible. This is true for gold, for diamonds, and above all for your presence. If you are constantly accessible, always present, always within reach, you become part of the background, ordinary, forgettable. To raise your perceived value, you must master the art of strategic withdrawal. Once your presence is established, once you have shown your influence, you must disappear. Create a void. That absence forces others to notice the silence you leave behind, to realize the weight of what you offered only when it is no longer there. When you retreat, your absence becomes louder than your words. People begin to replay your presence in their minds. They begin to wonder what you are doing, where you have gone, why they no longer have access to you. Curiosity becomes longing. Longing becomes respect. And when you return, you are not seen as common, you are seen as rare. Like a comet crossing the sky, brief and unforgettable, your reappearance carries force. They remember you not as someone ordinary, but as something singular, scarce, valuable. Do not allow them to grow numb to you. Do not let them consume your presence until it tastes bland. Let them starve a little. Let them feel your silence. And then return with greater impact than before. This is why absence must be intentional, not neglect, but strategy. By withdrawing, you teach people never to take you for granted. By reappearing, you remind them that you are not to be expected, but to be honored. Be rare, be deliberate, be unforgettable. For what is scarce is always desired, and what is desired is always respected. The 13th key is this: disarm your enemies with unexpected generosity. A frontal attack always creates a frontal defense. Direct aggression always triggers equal resistance. The intelligent strategist understands that the fastest way to break the defenses of a rival is not through open hostility, but through surprise and calculated kindness. When an enemy expects an attack and receives a gift, their script is broken. Their hostility has nowhere to go. Their mind is forced into confusion. They lower their guard, if only for a moment, and that moment is enough. This gesture does not have to be pure or genuine. It is a maneuver, a Trojan horse dressed as goodwill. An unexpected favor creates doubt in their mind and in the minds of their allies. Suddenly they are caught in a conflict. Should they continue to resist someone who has just offered them something of value? They become entangled in a subtle debt, an obligation of gratitude that they never wish to owe. And that obligation can be exploited later at the time of your choosing. Remember, generosity is not weakness when it is used as a blade hidden in velvet. By offering kindness where hostility was expected, you gain psychological ground without firing a shot. This principle is ancient and eternal. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. An enemy who is uncertain of your intentions, who has tasted both your strength and your magnanimity, is an enemy who can be neutralized. They will hesitate. They will question themselves. They will lose clarity. And hesitation is the crack through which influence enters. Understand this well. An act of calculated generosity can achieve what years of confrontation cannot. It is not surrender, it is strategy. It is not peace, it is leverage. And once they are disarmed, you will choose whether to strike or to bind them to your will. The 14th key is this: never reveal all your cards. Mystery is a form of power. The moment people believe they fully know you, the moment they think they can predict your every move, you stop being dangerous and you become manageable. You must always keep something hidden, always leave unanswered questions in their minds. Speak of your victories, but never reveal every detail of how you achieved them. Show your abilities, but always keep one or two in reserve, concealed from everyone. Be open about trivial matters, but remain impenetrable when it comes to what truly matters. This deliberate opacity forces others to speculate, to project their fears, to imagine possibilities far greater or darker than the truth. Understand that imagination is more powerful than reality. What people cannot see, they magnify. They will fill the gaps with their own anxieties and fantasies. Those fantasies will often serve you better than any truth could. Do not be a book anyone can read from cover to cover. Be a manuscript with missing chapters, a riddle with unknown variables, a painting where the shadows hide more than the light reveals. The human mind fears what it cannot fully grasp, and in that fear lies your freedom. When they cannot predict you, they cannot contain you. When they cannot explain you, they cannot control you. The unknown is untouchable. This is why mystery must be cultivated like a weapon, not by being vague, but by being selective. Reveal enough to intrigue, but never enough to be complete. Keep them wondering, keep them uncertain, keep them slightly afraid. Power does not live in transparency, it lives in enigma, and in the space between what they know and what they will never know about you. You will always hold the advantage. We have now traveled through the shadows of the mind and uncovered the secret language of power. But understand this clearly. Knowledge without action is nothing. To know these laws and not live them is like holding a map of treasure, yet refusing to take a single step outside your cell. You can close this lesson now, return to your ordinary life, obey the voice of the servant within, the one that doubts, hesitates, and waits. Or you can begin the war right here, in this moment. The war against the voice that tells you that you are not enough. The war against the fear of disapproval. The war to reclaim your mind from the conditioning that has kept you bound. This is not self-help. This is war. And today you are the weapon. If you are ready to stop chasing and begin to be pursued, if you are ready to stop asking and begin to take, then your training begins now. Every principle you have heard is a blade, every key a shield, every tactic a piece of armor forged for your conquest. But conquest is not over others first, it is over yourself, to master your impulses, to silence the servant, to awaken the sovereign. Only then can the world be bent to your will. Remember this, the weak wait for justice, the strong create it. The weak beg to be understood, the strong command presence without explanation. The weak crumble at rejection, the strong turn it into fuel. The weak drown in emotion, the strong shape emotion into strategy. The weak chase approval, the strong become indifferent. And when you stand unshaken, unreadable, undeniable, you become more than a man or woman. You become a force, a presence, a legend. So choose, remain a piece on someone else's board, or become the player who designs the game itself. The moment of transformation is here. Do not move away. The most important checkmate of your life is about to begin, and the battlefield is your own mind. The servant has had enough years of your life. Now awaken the sovereign. Now claim the throne within.
Roche Sauvage doesn't speak to everyone, only to those who feel.